and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, there are signs of jitters clearly on the D Street. There is no doubt about it. The market clearly does not want to get too ahead of the curve before the June 1st exit polls and the final results are on June 4th as well. Now, as far as yesterday is concerned, the Nifty, we do know, has consecutively dipped for the second day in a row. On Monday, it fell 200 points and then it was a 110 point of a dip or a cool off on Tuesday again. And finally, the Nifty closed below the mark of 22,900 at its day's low. When we talk about the Nifty Bank, that also fell prey to some selling pressure, but still the index was somewhat resilient. It held on to that 49,000 mark as well. Another factor not pleasing the bulls is continuous rising of the volatility index, the India VIX, which has added another 4%. To itself yesterday. It crossed the 24 mark and is now at about a 2-year high odd levels. Now, as we move into today, of course, we will need to see how the volatility factor plays out and whether the nerves continue. But earnings will be important to watch out for. So, Tata Steel, Alchem Laboratories, Deepak Fertilizers, Ipca Labs, Shriram Properties, Mazicon Dock, NoSil, Ahluwalia Contracts, Bata, Cummins India, Dredging Corporation, Dronacharya, Genus Power, Global Spirits and GMR Airports will be some of the companies that will be reporting their earnings today. We'll see how it pans out. Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This fine Wednesday's trade welcomes you on Dalal Street as also on Market Today. Sakshi, first things first, I think we should convince our boss Siddharth sir to give both of us and the entire PCR team a holiday for the next 2 or 3 sessions for 2 reasons. See, the market is not doing anything. Everybody is sitting on the fence and it's, you know, so event heavy and people have made so much of money and some of them have booked serious profit that everybody is sitting on the fence and waiting for the main events to come in. Nevertheless, you know, the markets will tick, therefore you and I will be doing our duty and so will be the entire PCR thing. It was wishful thinking on my part to imagine that Siddharth sir will give us a day off. Nevertheless, let's start this conversation with our usual index for you, the daily Nifty chart. As Sakshi has very clearly mentioned that the index ended at its day's low 22,888, which is about 44 points lower. It's an extremely range bound trade, ladies and gentlemen, over the last 2 or 3 trading sessions. Remember, the Nifty has already rallied very sharply from April 19th. We'll show you some very good data that is upon you as far as the screens are concerned. When you look at how the Nifty has moved from the first day of polling, which is April 19th, you will see we have added a substantial amount of traction to the Nifty, about 750 points. It's about 4.1%. Look at the Nifty Bank, whose monthly expiry is today. It's added about 1568 points or 4.4%. And Sakshi, the rally clearly belongs to the mid-cap space. The Nifty mid-cap index has added about 3600 points or 6.7%. Given this background in mind, it is only sensible for the Nifty to consolidate at current levels. For the last 2 days, you see this trade narrowing down substantially, and as you very rightly mentioned, India VIX, the other part that is creating problems for bulls, and you see this very high movement in India VIX, 4% yesterday, about 85% in the last 15-18 trading sessions, and that is at a 2-year high, the highest since June 2002. So that is the prevention that is happening as far as bulls are concerned. They are unable to pierce beyond 23,000. Now let us see the other pictures that are there in front of us. Global cues are weak. You see the US 10-year yield now at its highest since May 3rd at about 4.556%. Look at crude oil prices. They are up for the 3rd day in a row ahead of Saturday's OPEC Plus event, where the continuation of the crude oil cut in daily production could take place. So crude is on the boil. US 10-year is on the high as far as prices are concerned, from highest since May 3rd. And of course, GIFT Nifty is giving you a sign of a 100-point downtick. So these are the three events that Nifty is going to battle today. More importantly, the monthly expiry of Nifty Bank is today. Tomorrow is the final expiry of the month of May for Nifty as well. So that's a pain point. On Friday, you have the final closing of May 31st in the cash markets. So a lot of volatility is expected. Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, we have the exit poll for this wonderful election that we've had and the final 7th round of voting. Monday, the markets will be reacting to the exit poll, and Tuesday, which is June 4th, of course, you will have the final results day. So it is an event stacked week ahead, and Nifty is doing what it can, just sitting on the side, waiting for these events to end. So what you should do, if you are a very, very aggressive trader, then buy the dip towards 22,750, 22,800. We've seen weakness creeping into it, and we've seen heavy profit booking happening in all PSU shares, which is railway, which is defense, which is the PSU banking sector. So profit booking in happening there. On the Nifty, there is price attrition, but there are no volume sales. So if you are not an aggressive trader, just sit on the sidelines and wait for this event led week to get over, and on 1st of June, when the exit polls are out, we'll be reacting to it. On 3rd of June, which is Monday, we'll be taking a call on that one. So just be on the sidelines. If you are an aggressive trader, like I said, buy the dip towards 22,750. There is a very, very strong support for Nifty bulls on 22,750, an addition of about 3.34 lakh puts on this one. Total OI is 14.46, and the resistance, Sakshi, is 23,000. An unbelievably high concentration of Nifty puts, a fresh addition of 27 lakhs to an existing tally of 91 lakh contracts as open interest. So the range is 23,000 on the upside and 22,750. Wait for the first reaction to happen and only then take a punt. Best is stay away, Sakshi. Apart from that, we'll have a lot of how should I say, non-Nifty led events. Sakshi's pointed out the earnings. The ones that at least I am looking are the Nifty contract on Tata Steel that is going to declare its earnings. Profit is expected to be down 40% for the fourth quarter. Let's see how it goes. Apart from Tata Steel, you have earnings coming in from Cummins India, Bata. You have earnings coming in from other stocks such as ABRFL and IRCTC, where we'll be reacting to earnings. And of course, I'll be keeping an eye out on Hindalco. Its aluminium unit in the US, Novelis, has filed an IPO for about $1.2 billion. 4.5 crore shares are to be sold between $18 to $21, and that will have a beneficial impact on Hindalco. So Sakshi, a quiet day, volume less, fence sitting. We'll be just talking about prices. That's it.
Okay, all right. So that's as far as the overall commentary is concerned. Let's now look at how the global cues are shaping up. Remember, the Nasdaq Composite again hit another new record high on the Wall Street to surpass the 17,000 mark for the very first time. This was largely powered by the 7% gain in the tech darling NVIDIA that we have seen overnight trade as well. Now, what we've also seen is S&P 500 closed just about barely higher in trade, while just about 0.02% odd, while the Dow Jones ended lower in trade. So there was a mixed close that we got from the Wall Street. Following this, most Asian markets declined as investors are now awaiting the inflation reading data from Australia, and also caution is rising about Federal Reserve's policy path going forward as well. The Nikkei is absolutely flat with a negative bias, 0.1% lower in trade. Kospi is down by about 0.7%. Hang Seng is just managing to eke out about 0.03% of gains right now, while the Shanghai index is down by about 0.05% as well. What is the GIFT Nifty indicating? There could be a weaker start for the Sensex and the Nifty. The GIFT Nifty trends are indicating a loss of 84 points for the broader index in India to start off with. We'll just continue to watch out for as to how that plays out. As far as the foreign flows are concerned, remember overseas investors have actually turned net buyers of Indian equities on Tuesday. That's after 2 consecutive days of selling. FIIs mopped up stocks worth about 65 odd crore rupees worth of stocks in the Indian equities, while the domestic institutional investors, they remained net buyers for the 7th straight day. They mopped up equities worth about 3,231 odd crore rupees as well. Now, let's look at some of the earnings that came after the market hours yesterday and which will be reacting today. NBCC, I'm keeping a close eye on. Q4 FY24 consolidated year-on-year numbers show that the revenue uptick was about 43% at 4,025 odd crore rupees. Margins came in at a 6% versus 3.7%, sharp improvement there, and net profit up by 24.5% at about 141 odd crore rupees. So, solid set of numbers there. Brigade Enterprises Q4 FY24 consolidated year-on-year numbers show that the revenue uptick was a sharp 102% at 1,702 crores. Margins improved by 144 basis points at 25.4%. Net profit increased by 234% at 210 odd crore rupees. So blowout earnings right there. The stock was down by 4%. There could be a reversal today after these earnings. IRCTC Q4 FY24 consolidated year-on-year numbers show revenue uptick was 19.7% at 1155 crores. Margins came in lower than the last year at 31.4% versus 33.6%. Net profit was up just marginally about 2 odd percent at 284 odd crores. Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, let's look at that one as well. On the revenue front, there was an uptick of 18.3% at 3,407 crores. Margins came in at 8.3% versus 6.7%. The net loss has been reported of 266 crores. This has widened from the loss that had been reported last year, same quarter, of about 195 odd crore rupees. So there could be further weakening on this stock after yesterday's just marginal dip. Amara Raja Energy, of course, the revenue improved by 19.5% at 2,908 odd crore rupees. EBITDA improved by 16% at 410 crores. Margins slipped lower by 39 basis points at 14.1%, while the profit was up 61.9% at 230 odd crore rupees as well. So mixed earnings coming in as far as Amara Raja is concerned. Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers and Chemicals, it reported a consolidated YOY improvement as far, in fact, downtick as far as the revenue is concerned, downtick of 7% at 2,110 odd crore rupees. EBITDA was down substantially, 60.7% it declined to 145 odd crores. Margins came down sharply, 937 basis points at 6.9%, and the net profit declined by 61%. So weak earnings coming in for GNFC right there. So these are some of the earnings that I'm keeping a keen eye out on. And of course, Hindalco, that's going to be a key watch that Shail has also told you about. CLSA has come out with a buy rating on this one, with a target price of 770 because of Novelis looking to list itself and coming up with an IPO in the US markets, price band of $18 to $21 per share, and this implies Novelis market cap could be somewhere to the tune of $12.6 billion on the upper end, and the proceeds for Hindalco could be coming in from 810 to about $945 million odd or so. But there's another news that's coming in. Let's get our colleague Asim Thapliyal to join us on the show, and this is with respect to Paytm, and therefore you need to watch out for Paytm today and also the Adani Group. What's the news, Asim?
Thanks, Sakshi. So the shares of Paytm are in focus today. As a media report said, Gautam Adani, the Adani Group chairman, is considering buying a stake in Paytm's parent company, 197 Communications. The report said that Paytm founder and CEO Vijay Shekhar Sharma met Gautam Adani at Lattice office in Ahmedabad to finalize the contours of a deal on Tuesday. If this deal goes through, it will help the ports to airports conglomerate enter the fintech industry, competing with major players like Google Pay and Jio Financial. Before this, the Adani Group acquired cement makers ACC and Ambuja Cements and media firm NDTV in FY23. Meanwhile, the Paytm stock ended 3.95% lower at rupees 342.45 in the previous session. Back to you, Sakshi.
Okay, this is the news that is coming in on Paytm. Remember, the stock is almost at an all-time low, and it's been buffeted by a series of bad news, including a disastrous fourth quarter net loss which totaled about 500 crore rupees. Just a good time as any to welcome our very dear friend Mr. Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President for Geojit Financial Services. He joins us from the financial capital Mumbai. Gaurang ji, स्वागत है आपका, शुभ प्रभात और नमस्कार. कैसा लग रहा है आपको आज? काफ़ी सारी इवेंट्स लाइंड अप हैं अगले 2-3 दिन. मेरे ख्याल से सैटरडे संडे तो इस बार सभी लोग काम करते हुए दिखेंगे. वैसे हम सब लोग तो पिछले 10 साल से कर ही रहे हैं.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद शैल जी, आपको, साक्षी को और सभी दर्शकों को सादर प्रणाम हमारे तरफ से और शुभ प्रभात. तैयारी तो है, हमारी तो मुसाफरी भी है. 31 से लेकर के 2 तारीख तक महाराष्ट्र में कराड और सतारा नाम के 2 शहर है, वहां पर इन्वेस्टर अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम का प्रबंध किया है हमारे मित्रों ने. तो 5.5-6 घंटे की रोड से मुसाफरी करके मुंबई से वहां पहुंचना होगा और फिर रविवार को दोपहर के पश्चात हम वापस लौटेंगे. और मेरे ख्याल से तब तक एफएनओ एक्सपायरी भी हो गई रहेगी और पहले चरण के चुनाव भी हो गए होंगे. एग्जिट पोल भी हमारे सामने होगा, क्योंकि एग्जिट पोल 1 तारीख को शाम को आएगा मेरे ख्याल से 4-5 बजे के बाद. तो बाजार की प्रतिक्रिया आपको 3 तारीख सोमवार 3 जून को देखने मिलेगी. और जैसे हम पहले से कहते आ रहे हैं Shell, that we need to be prepared for this kind of volatility, Shell. It is going to be immense. We saw yesterday how the VIX reacted, and I don't know what it closed at India VIX, but it is most likely it would have gone beyond 24, 25 or closer to that mark, and that will possibly give you more choppiness and volatility. You are 1 day before the monthly FNO expiry. You need to prepare yourself, and this is what exactly we've been telling our viewers over the last maybe about month or so, or maybe about more than a month, that these events are likely to throw in choppiness, volatility, and more so, Shell, India VIX is high. You have the month and your monthly expiry of the FNO segment. You are trading at all-time high, and of course the events over the weekend which is lined up. So all this is a perfect combination of tightening your seat belts and preparing for choppiness. And like I mentioned, Shell, कुछ नहीं करेंगे आने वाले 4-5 दिनों तक तो अच्छा है. 4 तारीख को निर्णायक तरीके से when we know what is the outcome of the election, either trade on 5th onwards and then create a portfolio. And if you are a trader, try to maximize your profit and square off your trades and sit on cash.
Okay, Gaurang, Sakshi and I thought very early morning to request our boss Siddharth sir to give us a day off, including the entire PCR team, but it's unlikely that he will agree, simply because there's so much of volatility, there is no volume, and we are just sort of going to mark prices for today and tomorrow. As you very rightly summarize, nothing is going to happen. Just sit quietly and wait for this event to last. About your Musafiri, I remember this beautiful song written by Gulzar, मुसाफिर हूँ यारों, ना घर है ना ठिकाना. तो यही हाल मेरे ख्याल से ट्रेडर्स और इन्वेस्टर्स का होगा अगले 1-2 दिन. बस चुपचाप, हमारी तरफ तो बहुत तगड़ी गर्मी पड़ रही है तो घर में ही बैठना पड़ रहा है, लेकिन यू आर लकी, यू गेट टू ट्रैवल, सो ऑल द लक टू यू. And I am sure at this investor event, you will be discussing your Panch Pandav, which is
where the temperature
tell
is
me.
maybe 40 degrees and beyond. So it's not going to be a pleasant one.
Gaurang, we are at 47 in Delhi. You are welcome here.
No, I will come to Delhi, but at a better time.
Okay. I'm sure you, yes, of course. We have that trip planned for you. Sakshi, Gaurang and I will have this, the delicious Delhi trip whenever he makes it in cooler climes. But Gaurang, coming back to the markets, I'm sure you have a ready reckoner to look at stocks which might slip into buying territory given the correction that is there in the markets. A couple that you could discuss, please.
So first one, Shell, I don't know whether we discussed this last week or the week before that, but if not, then for the benefit of viewers, Canara, I mean, we were just, I think either you or Sakshi were referring to financials. And my sense is financials, BFSI segment is entirely going to do very, very well. So be it your public sector bank, be it your private sector bank, be it your strong NBFCs, diversified ones, so microfinance companies, the small finance banks, all these are housing finance companies, all these are going to do extremely well. And one name that I can possibly point down or jot down is the bank which has gone split very recently, Canara Bank. I think it was at 115, between 115 to 120 Canara Bank. Uh, it's great set of numbers, Shell, undeniably, and tremendous amount of opportunity in terms of growth. And from these levels, your downside is what, 110 max, worst case possibility. Of course, if the hell doesn't break loose, then with this kind of a limited downside, and your upside could be as much as maybe 175, 180, or even 200, depending upon the earnings. So that's the kind of theme that you need to follow. One more name that I would like to add over here is, in the infra play, Shell, there are, and my sense is that this government post fourth and fifth, settling in and taking charge of the country, infrastructure is going to do very, very well in terms of more orders coming in. So we have a couple of names, but if one name I want to highlight over here is NCC Limited. I think it is at 250 or 280, somewhere thereabouts, the last time that I saw. So Canara Bank and NCC Limited. So you have one from the financials and one from the infra play. And both these themes are likely to play out very, very well.
Okay, financials as well as infra play right there. I will ask you on to varied other sectors and specific stocks also, which are in news today, Gaurang. One is Hindalco, of course. Now we have the price data that Novelis will be probably looking to list its IPO on. And now the question is all about what will be the valuation of Hindalco's stake within the IPO, what could be the flows, and of course, how should a retail investor really look at Hindalco at the current levels now, looking at this trigger in the offing?
Well, so this has been a very strong play in terms of performance. Very recently, I'm talking about Sakshi, not that compared to your JSPL and the JSWs and the Tata Steels of the world. This was a little bit of sideways performer, but then you have the earnings, you have the contribution from the Novelis improving, and now with this news flow, stock is trading closer to 680. And on the metals universe, Sakshi, ferrous, non-ferrous, there are these three names that I just mentioned, including Hindalco and names like NMDC, etc. Nalco also features in that particular list. And our sense is that, valuation apart of this particular news flow and the event which is lined up, purely I am quite comfortable with the consumption theme that is likely to unfold going into the future as far as the domestic play is concerned. And more importantly, some of the management post the earnings of the fourth quarter last financial year have mentioned that their input cost has come down, and most likely their pricing power is going to come back. Now, under the possibility of these two events unfolding in the future, I think numbers should look very, very strong. So we remain optimistic on Hindalco from a long-term point of view. It will be an tailwind positive with the news flow on Novelis.
Okay, got that. And the other one is, of course, the news that our colleague Asim just spoke to us about. News reports indicating that Adani Group may be looking to, have a stake in Paytm. Of course, yesterday there was this buzz that through Adani One, there could be a foray into the e-commerce as well as the payments business for Adani Group going forward from here. The second step coming in that probably Paytm stake could be in the offing. How are you reading into this buzz?
Well, honestly, I will not jump the gun, Sakshi, and wait for more clarity to emerge in terms of valuation and what is going to be the mode of this particular buyout in case if it is had to happen. I'm not sure. I have not heard about Adani Group mentioning this or Paytm management mentioning anything about this. So, and more importantly, we've been maintaining a sell call on 191, that is Paytm, right from last year, November onwards. And then, of course, early this year, we had the unfortunate news flow unfold in terms of the restrictions that RBI had put in. So I will not be a person who would want to jump into this bandwagon, just hearsay. I will wait for clarity to emerge. And like I mentioned, we have a sell call on Paytm as well.
Okay. Gaurang, let's discuss the very strong block deal that's happened on Timken India. The US parent selling about 6.6% stake. I'll request the PCR to fire a long-term chart of this bearing maker. Gaurang, very strong set of new investors has come in, including the government of Singapore. Morgan Stanley has picked up quite a decent chunk for its overseas clients, and of course there is a huge line of domestic mutual funds. Stock of Timken is at a record high, about 4100, and it was the lone gainer in this pack of railway stocks that I track. Would you have a view from now on as far as Timken is concerned?
So let me highlight a couple of names, especially MNC names, since you have mentioned about this, and I think it's a very interesting topic. I think Timken, before that we had Whirlpool, promoter selling out. We had some news flow on Timken yesterday. And before that, couple of other MNC names wherein promoter wants to sell out because they feel that the valuations are fairly justified. So, honestly, Shell, normally people have a tendency of looking at this particular situation from the negative point of view, saying that, oh, promoter is selling out, so I also need to sell out. But I would look at it from the opposite angle. If promoter or any large investor is selling out from a particular company, then at that valuation, at that point of time, that kind of stake, somebody else is buying it. So for me, rather than looking at it as a glass half empty, I would look at that glass half full shell, and kind of performance that Timken and likewise other, some of the MNC names have delivered. It's really a huge possibility. You take in points Siemens, you take in Honeywell Automation. I'm just giving you names. These are not recommendations, by the way. Timken, look at it. Timken, look at Bosch India. I mean, and look at AstraZeneca. I mean, they are PNG for a matter of fact. The only problem with these names, Shell, is the float, the liquidity. Otherwise, these are very strong business and strong balance sheet and great management.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have the pre-open rates with us. The Nifty, I'd rather not mention the opening quote. We don't want early morning, flutters in our heart. It's there on the screen. 250 points lower. This will settle for the better. Let's look at stocks that are doing pretty well in the index heavyweight section of 10 shares. Let's look at Tata Motors. 8 rupees 850 higher at 956. This is something to look forward to. There's a mild green tick on SBI as well, about a rupee higher. ITC, remember, we are also tracking the FMCG thrust in the market, 2 rupees higher at 431. At the same point, let's look at Hindustan Unilever too. Well, this is down about 30 rupees. This will improve for the better, 2365. The Nifty is now a sensible 65 points lower. This is in sync what the gift Nifty was suggesting. And at the same time, now let's look at the 3 super index heavyweights. Infosys is in the green, 3 rupees higher, 1470. HDFC Bank is 12 rupees 50 higher, 1543. Remember, the stock is around its 200 DMA. And now let's look at Reliance, ladies and gentlemen. The tick on Reliance at the moment is flat, 2912. Okay, let's look at the other parts of the market and focus on NSE 500. Sakshi Hindalco opens 10 rupees, 10% higher, 749. This is the brush of its US aluminium unit Novelis filing an IPO worth $1.2 billion. Remember, the first circuit in an FNO stock is 10%. What are the other shares that are moving? Paytm 5% higher. This is limit up, 359. We just discussed this news. NBCC 4% higher, strong set of earnings. Amara Raja Batteries 3.4% higher, another strong set of earnings, 1290. These are the stocks that are moving in early deals. How about any other names that I can think of? Let's look at the most active list. You have a lot of moves coming in. Okay. Now these are earnings led and event led. Inox Wind, remember, had a block deal yesterday. The stock was down 10% yesterday, another 10% downtick at 133. Even the earnings were slightly muted. Rights, the earnings came day before yesterday during market hours, but the counter is a rupee 1.3% low at 702. Let's look at the FNO space to see any interesting buzz that is there amongst the top gainers. Okay, Coromandel International 2% higher, 1320. Hindalco is now settling sensibly, just 2% higher, 695. Gaurang's favorite Canara Bank is opening 2% higher, 118.12. Nothing much here. The market is almost muted. The Nifty now, okay, 100 points lower, 22,777. Remember, there's a very strong support at 22,750. Let's see whether that holds or not. This is what the market is. Sakshi, what are you watching?
Well, of course, IRCTC is something that I will keep an eye out on post earnings, how the stock is reacting. Remember, the ticketing margins have come in lower and the stock has been on an upward trend. So just about 0.8% lower. So not too much of a disappointment there. 1073 for this one. Let's also look at Brigade Enterprises. Blowout earnings had come in from this one, and the real estate space has been continuously buzzing as well. So let's see how that one is opening in the pre-opening trades too. About 2% higher, 1249. Odd levels can be seen on this one today. The other one is Amara Raja. Let's look at that one as well. Since Gaurang has also been talking about a whole host of space from the auto ancillary basket, this is again another one that we are keeping a keen eye out on. 2% after the earnings. Let's look at Aditya Birla Fashion. Disappointing earnings came in from this company. The company's loss has widened to about 266 odd crore rupees. So let's look at that one. I think it's opening slightly muted in trade today. VFC, which is Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers, again disappointing on the profitability or the bottom line front. The profits came down about 61% lower in trade. So that one is opening about, I think, 3% lower in trade as well. But let's again look at Paytm to see if there is any kind of momentum on that one, and the Adani Group stocks, Adani Enterprises, for example. Let's look at these two spaces. About 5% higher for Paytm, 359, 197 is opening higher in trade. Adani Enterprises just about 1/10% higher, 3250 odd levels currently as far as this space is also concerned. So these are some of the stocks that I'm keeping a keen eye out on, Shail.
Let's get Gaurang into the conversation. It's not looking good in the early part of this pre-open trade. Now almost 150 down on the Nifty. Gaurang, in terms of how the fourth quarter has panned out and how the first quarter now looks, any favorites in the mid-cap space apart from Canara Bank that might have gathered your attention based on a strong fourth quarter earning?
So, mid-cap, small cap, private sector banks look attractive, wherein Federal Bank, IDFC First banks are lined up, including likes of Kotak Mahindra Bank and IndusInd Bank. Possibly in the hospitality sector, Indian hotels is something that we are extremely positive about. Sakshi was mentioning about Amara Raja Battery. Over here, there are two more companies on which auto ancillary segment, OEM segment, we are extremely positive, including Amara Raja Battery, are Uno Minda and CIE Automotives. A positive over here. Maybe in the auto pack, a small mid-cap name like Ashok Leyland, which has been a star performer post the earnings and the commentary from the management about their successfully establishing and commercializing their electric vehicle plant in Uttar Pradesh in the next 12 to 16 odd months. So that's one place that you can possibly look at. Midcap IT share looks extremely attractive. Despite the fact that a lot of people on the street are underweight on IT, we are positive. and over there you have Tata Tech, you have KPIT. Uh, these are the Science Limited. In fact, this is the other name that we are extremely positive. So you should look out. These are the pockets wherein you can possibly look at.
Okay. Okay, another stock that I'd like to mark, ladies and gentlemen, is PNB Housing. It's opening 5.5% lower, 744. Remember, there's a huge block deal worth about 500 crore rupees slated today. Government of Singapore and a Mauritius-based fund will sell a 2.8% stake in PNB Housing at about 717 rupees a share. This is a 5% discount to Tuesday's closing price. The counter is exactly 5% lower in trade today, 744. So keep an eye out on PNB Housing as well. Sakshi, the Nifty settled 0.5% higher, so it's a gap of 0.5% lower. So it's a gap down of 125 points, and this probably, obviously is in sync with what the GIFT Nifty was telling us. And again, my understanding is that you will have a flat trade after this kind of a gap down. Let's look at what the index heavyweights are telling us. ICICI Bank 1% lower, HDFC Bank 0.8% lower, Reliance 0.6% lower, TCS is in the green, Hindalco is in the green. A bit of profit booking happening across the board. Gaurang, given the fact that your 5 Pandavs have shown a decent downtick, the 5 Pandavs being the defense counters, Cochin, Garden Reach, Mazgaon, BEL and HAL. Would you remain as confident about them as you were 2 days ago, 3 days ago? And will you be talking about them on your investor education trip across Satara?
There are a lot of disclosures you want me to give out away. Yeah, so it's a great investment theme that we always carry along with us, because there are a lot of investors who attend this investor awareness program. On an average, on the lower side, there are about 250 to 300 plus gatherings that we have, and on the higher side, it has gone up to even 600, 700. It's a great interaction and a great platform that we try to connect to investors, especially in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, Shell, because that's the kind of base of the pyramid where you will have the next flip in terms of new investors joining the India growth story and the stock market or equity market, in terms of new batch of investors coming in. So yes, I mean, these are some great themes, and Shell, to be very honest, after a good year or 2 years of performance, if you have 1 or 2 days odd of profit booking in these stocks, that should not shaken up your confidence and commitment to these stocks. These are growth stories for the next 3 years, 5 years, or maybe more.
Absolutely, Gaurang. Because of the way volatility is structured and the fact that we are again going to have a volumeless day where Sakshi and I will be sitting on the fence, it's very difficult to think of new things to talk about. Therefore, we visit our old favorites just as we visit our old friends in our personal lives, and therefore I asked this question. By the way, for those people who do not want to participate directly into equity, there's a beautiful fund called HDFC Defense Fund, which invests only in the defense sector. That fund has performed remarkably. It started mid last year at 10 rupees. The NAV is somewhere like 17 rupees. So a 70% appreciation. Maybe you can look at that as well. It gives you the same benefit with a lot better sleep. Sakshi, what are you watching?
Well, of course, let's welcome our guest, Vaishali Parekh, now, who's joining right in to give us some more color as far as where does she see the bright spots, because she's our lucky mascot. 22,762 for you, Vaishali. Will you be able to reverse it and take us back to 23,000 today?
Very good morning to all of you. Yes, I would feel so, because 22,700, well, always a bullish view, but right now we are heading for some corrective move. and it's a weak opening. So if we break these levels also, I think we are heading towards 22,400. So let's wait and watch.
Okay. Any stocks that you can highlight for us, Vaishali, what you're looking at today?
So yesterday, what I saw is the insurance stocks, that is HDFC Life, SBI Life, LIC. All these stocks look quite promising from here on. And besides that, few of the pharma stocks are also doing pretty well, like Divi's Lab, Dr. Reddy. Well, these are the stocks to my liking right now in a market like this.
Vaishali, good morning. A very warm welcome on Market today. Sakshi and I are at a dearth of topics and stocks to discuss upon because of this intense volatility and of course this downtick that we've seen on the Nifty. So we are looking to you to sort of lead us through. You've been a lady luck for so long, and you've highlighted some great punts in the market on the long side. Anything apart from the life insurance plays that you find attractive in the mid-cap space?
So mid-cap stocks, I think auto stocks are doing, auto ancillaries, Exide Industries. So that is one stock which I do like right now. Along with that, even Amara Raja. These are the stocks that I think should do well. And just few days back, we have come with our thematic report on fertilizer stocks. So in the mid-cap sector, I do like fertilizer stocks. Also, Aarti Industries, if you have a look, I mean, quite well corrected and technically very well placed. So these are the stocks I think would be safe at this level right now. But fertilizer stocks like RCF, GSFC, GNFC, Chambal, we do like these stocks currently quite well placed in the market. And one more stock which did pretty well yesterday in a market like this was Ganesha Ecosphere. So there are still quite a few stocks which are showing robust growth, and also I do like Ganesha Ecosphere also in the mid cap category. I think this looks quite promising. In all likelihood, we are seeing the monthly chart and all. There's strength in all time period charts. So I think this can go towards 1300, 1500 from here.
Okay, got that. We're just a few seconds away from the markets to hit open right now. We'll keep an eye out on IRCTC. Vaishali, could you give us your view? You've been bullish on the stock. Earnings, especially the margins, have disappointed. The stock is indicating a 3.5% lower tick. What should investors do? Buy the dip?
I think, well, it's I'm not to my liking right now, because if these support levels break, then maybe 1000 is the level to look for. That is where perhaps I can consider.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the rates are upon us. The Nifty is opened on the back foot, which is about 73 points lower. There's a 160 point downtick on Nifty Bank. Nifty 500 is 77 points lower. This is worrisome. And of course, there's a mild red tick on Nifty IT. Let's immediately look at the index heavyweights. Okay, there is a red tick on around 4 rupees 70 at 1462. How about HDFC Bank? Down 8 rupees 15 at 1522. How about Reliance? Down 6 rupees at 2905. LNT down 18 rupees 3640. So ladies and gentlemen, none of the top 10 index heavyweights are in the green. That's a point of concern. There is a mild 28 rupee uptick on Bajaj Finance at 6902. Nothing to be very proud of. What else is moving? Let's look at immediately to the earnings boys. Brigade Enterprises, the flagship real estate company out of Bangalore, 3% higher, 1262. One Communications, that's Paytm, limit up 5%, 359, although the parent Paytm denies the report, saying that it is speculative. NBCC earnings boy 2.5% higher, 142.20. Earnings boy RR Kabel, this is a cable maker, 1835, 1.3% higher. Hindalco a percent higher, 687. Strong move coming in on 3M India also. Remember, it was earnings led, 34,858, 2.9% higher. This is what I see in early deals. Let's look at the most active counters. Okay, block deal on PNB Housing, ladies and gentlemen. 7.7% lower, 727. A 2.8% stake has been sold for 500 crores. Keep an eye out on that one. HDFC Bank is down about 0.8. Inox Wind down about 5%. Booking of profit on Hindustan Aeronautics 1% lower. Let's look at the entire defense space. Profit booking continues. You have Cochin Shipyard 2.5% higher, 1860. Mazgaon 1.5% lower, 2989. Similar structure on BEL and BDL. A very quick dip into PSUs. Let's look at what PSUs are doing. In the red are Engineers India 4% lower, 253. IRCTC 3.6% lower, 1043. Ireda Wrights, Cochin Shipyard, GNFC, GRFC all showing downticks of 2.5%. On the gainer side within the PSU pack are NBCC, again led by earnings, 3% higher, 143.10. The other gains are absolutely minor. So it's a downtick, ladies and gentlemen, 100-point negative tick on the Nifty 22,786. Remember, 22,750 is a very, very strong support for bulls. Let's see whether that's tested or not. Vaishali, coming to you, what catches your fancy in early deals? Should we do something or remain on the fence?
Well, I think stock specific, there is always an opportunity. So I'm looking at Kotak Bank. Bank Nifty comparatively still well placed, and I like Kotak Bank from here on. The worst is pretty much over, so I would look at Kotak Bank right now. 1650 acts as a good support, and once we see this stock moving past 1750, I would think so it's ready for a takeoff. And the other one which is still going strong is Ashok Leyland. So I do like Ashok Leyland also from here on.
Okay, we'll continue to keep an eye out on Ashok Leyland, Kotak Mahindra Bank. These stocks, as Vaishali has indicated. Let's again revisit PNB Housing Finance. The block deal has gone through. The stock is reacting lower, 7.5% cut. This is a deal of 1.6 crore shares changing hands, worth about 1168 crore rupees. So, which means a 6.18% kind of an equity is exchanging the hands right now. So, you see a sharp downtick right now of 7.5% odd. Gaurang, since you've been talking about the housing finance companies, where does PNB Housing really fit in the longer run?
So we used to have coverage, Sakshi, on PNB Housing, but of late we've dropped that because of limitation in terms of sectorial picks. So currently, if you ask me where we find opportunity, there are two of them: Canfin Homes and LIC Housing Finance. These two, in terms of market share and in terms of expectation of performance, our senses are like these two are likely to do much better compared to other names. So if you want to invest fundamentally, then LIC Housing Finance and Canfin Homes, these would be the two preferred ideas.
Okay, got that. So that's as far as the housing finance names are concerned and the preferred picks by Gaurang on that front again. Let's look at Hindalco again. It's opening, it's just about 0.9% high in trade at about 687 amidst the novelist news that's come in. Paytm again is still holding up onto those gains of 4.99 odd percent right now. Let me ask you on Hindalco, Vaishali, how would you really look at this stock? It has been in momentum, and now there are fresh news triggers that are pouring in as far as novelist listing that could be nearing in the US.
I think the stock is showing a lot of strength. So I think the near-term support comes at around 660 levels. Once we see the stock moving past 700, I think further projection comes to 720. So overall, it's quite a bullish stock, a buy at every day.
Ladies and gentlemen, 9:21 in front of us. It's a muted start towards negativity, 94 points lower on the Nifty, 22,792. The advanced decline is pretty difficult to look at. At the very start of trade, we have 1444 stocks in the red, just 592 in the green. It's my habit to mark record highs, and in this kind of red market, it's all the more important. So Brigade Enterprises and another counter, JSW Infra. This is, remember, a port company that was listed about 8-9 months ago. I'd like to get your attention, Gaurang, on JSW Infra. The stock, apart from Tata Tech and Ireda, has been included in the FTSE All World Index. Would you shed some light on JSW Infra? Is it under your coverage?
Was it about 130 or thereabouts? Correct me if I'm wrong, Shail. I'm not really refreshing my memories.
Yes, correct.
But yeah, and this was a couple of months back, Shail. So on the IPO, we had given a subscribe recommendation. Stock is trading at 280, 290 levels. One of the names in the infra logistics space, container space, which is very strong player as far as the Middle East operations are concerned. I think APT, that is Andhra Pradesh, Telangana too, they have been able to set up their facilities over there. And the company is in talks with other two opportunities in India in terms of port logistic business. This entry and exit shelf for me is immaterial, honestly speaking. You know why? Because inclusion or exclusion has its impact on a particular stock for maybe that particular day or a spillover on the next day till the time that adjustment happens. After that, we again come back to our logical approach in terms of fundamental strength of that particular company. And these entry and inclusions has no relevance in terms of the performance of the company. So I would rather look at the weightage in terms of performance fundamentally rather than this entry and exit. And as a disclosure, keeping that IPO note as a base, our sense is that this JSW Infra is likely to do much better. And let me say this also, Shail, if India is going to become a huge hub in terms of manufacturing facility, container logistic companies, port logistic companies are likely to do extremely well.
Okay. Sakshi, there is an interesting turn of events in the market, and we have a huge round of buying that's happening. I believe it is because of two reasons. It's because Gaurang is with us, therefore there is a rebound in all defense stocks. Let me mark an interesting theme. Cochin Shipyard, ladies and gentlemen, had a low of 1825 in early deals. It is now at 1917 in the green. Masgaon Dock had a low of 2975. It's now at 3082. So it's a 100-point uptick from its day's low, in the green, 1.5% higher. Ditto for Hindustan Aeronautics, now up 1% at 5066 from a low of 4950. And you will not believe, Sakshi, I have this lovely graph which points to the advance decline ratios in the form of a line graph. So when the advances are above declines, the green line is red line. Now they are just narrowing, and there will come a time in the next maybe 4 or 5 minutes where advances will exceed declines. So a very sharp move coming in as usual, led by the PSU theme. And the second reason why that is happening, Sakshi, is because our lady luck is with us. Vaishali is on the screen. There is no reason why you will not see a decent bout of green. Vaishali, what would you buy? Brigade or any dip that you see in the PSU stocks? What's top on your radar?
So yes, I mean, we were just, Gaurang was just talking about JSW Infra too. So let me complete that. I do like that stock. I mean, strong uptrend. So I think it is also buying at every decline. Brigade, yes, you can for an intraday purpose also with a support of 1215. You can buy this stock. It can go because volume is also very high. It can go towards 1400. But the stock which I really and I always mention is SBI. Because if you see amidst all the volatility, yesterday also we saw, today also we saw, SBI is holding very well. So that's the stock to my liking. I'm waiting for a breakout in this stock above 835, 838 close. We are looking at a target of 880 to 900. So this is one stock which I am consistently watching, and I think it's doing quite well.
Okay, got that. So we'll keep an eye out on this stock too. NBCC is now showing some further moves ahead after the earnings. Remember, it opened about 3% higher. Now it's inching closer to a 5% uptick. So strong moves right there. I remember, Gaurang, we have discussed this, when we were discussing the entire PSU theme as well. Post the earnings on NBCC, how would you really look at the company?
Sakshi, honestly, I'll surrender with a humble admission that I don't recollect having a coverage over here. But it's a strong company and it has made a good turnaround. And it was a company which was responsible for completion of all those projects which were in limbo by JP Group of companies. Correct me if I'm wrong. And there was a concern in terms of financial closures also. But all that has come through very well, and the company has shaped up quite well. Unfortunately, I won't be able to comment on buy, sell, and hold since I don't recollect having coverage over here.
Okay. Vaishali, how are you looking at the charts of NBCC today?
Well, it is actually showing quite a possibility of a new round of momentum to set in because, as such, the stock has only been consolidating since a very long time. I mean, we've seen a narrow range of 122 to 148, 150 levels. I think this makes a good buying opportunity at these levels and wait for this stock to move past 153, 154. And I think it's open for targets of 167, 170.
Okay, got that. And again, apart from this, it's the entire metal move that we will continue to track even today. It began with the discussion on Hindalco. The stock is now up 1.4% at day's high. But you have Steel Authority, you have Tata Steel, the entire space now throwing up several names, a 0.5% of a move, and the Nifty Metal is the top moving sectoral index right now. On these metal movers, especially ahead of earnings on Tata Steel as well, you can mention, Gaurav, what exactly appeals to you?
You were asking about Tata Steel, right? I'm sorry, I missed
And
you.
the metal space, yes, overall.
I mean, extremely positive. The only problem, Sakshi, with the entire metals pack is the relevance and dependency in terms of news flows as far as the commodity market is concerned because of the price movement, and more so the so-called supposedly father of this particular sector, that is China. And honestly, Sakshi, I take news flows from China, I have mentioned earlier also, not with a pinch of salt, but with a fist of salt. And I have no credibility in terms of what those news flows are. So, other than that, like I mentioned, domestic market consumption is likely to go up, whereas non-ferrous flat products, long products, pricing power is likely to come back. Situation in terms of input cost has improved, and thereby margins getting improved going forward from here on. So Tata Steel, JSW Steel, Hindalco, Vedanta, JSPL, NMDC, Nalco. These are some of the names in the metal stack that we are positive on.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are at 9:30 and the first 15 minutes of trade have been done. They are based on a very strong bout of short covering. Remember, it's the final expiry for the Nifty Bank today, which is at the moment 285 points lower, 48,850, and we are on T-1 monthly expiry for the Nifty. The Nifty did touch a low of 22,750. In our early morning commentary, we had mentioned it is a very, very strong support for bulls as far as put writing is concerned. From then on, there is a bounce. The index is now trying to negotiate the 22,800 resistance level. Let's see whether it goes up or not. But for the moment, what I had mentioned has happened. Gainers have now exceeded losers at about 720. The number of advances on the National Stock Exchange are almost equal to declines. This will improve further. All across my screens, I see only and only green. So people are taking this opportunity to add into cash. Two stocks I'd like to mention, both highlighted by Gaurang. NCC. This is a construction company earlier called Nagarjuna Construction Limited. At 285, the counter is again consolidating around its all-time highs. This is something that we need to look at. and of course, it's the entire defense pack. I just can't take my eyes off Mazgaon Dock, of Cochin Shipyard, of how should I say, even BDL. Coming to you, Vaishali, anything that catches your fancy in the defense space, what would you buy at current levels?
I think last time even Gaurang was there and I had mentioned Paras Defense. And if you look at the chart, I mean, at that time, I think it was going around at 780, 800 levels. And now, if you see the weekly chart, we have got a decisive breakout. So now I would say 840, 830 acts as a support. And if this stock continues to stay in momentum, upward trend, I think this is ready to revisit the previous highs of 1200. So that could make a good favorable risk reward ratio trade. So yes, I am looking at Paras Defense from here.
Okay, there has been a conclusive breakout from 22,800. Now the Nifty is at 22,817, still down 70 points. The next resistance that it has to negotiate is 22,831. We are not purposely doing a Nifty option check for reasons that we are close to the monthly expiry. It is also the monthly expiry of Nifty Bank today, and of course there is massive volatility in the market. Sakshi, for once a downtick on India VIX, mildly down, 0.02 down at about 24.19. So it's shaping up well. Let's see how it goes, but the advances are now ahead of declines. That's a positive. Let's look at the index picture. You had marked the metals index, I remember clearly. Business Today tracks 19 indices for you, ladies and gentlemen, and out of 19, let's see how many are in the green. Okay, there are not many in the green, just 5 of them are in the green, and at this point of time the rally is led by Nifty PSU Bank 0.5% higher, Nifty Metals 0.5% higher. I'll just mark the advanced decline on the NSE 500. That will give you an idea about the breadth of the market in terms of positivity. So 254 stocks are in the green, 244 in the red. That's how it's moving. And taking it away are housing finance stocks. In the green is LIC Housing Finance, which Gaurang gave a thumbs up on. Let's get a view in from Vaishali. LIC Housing Finance, Vaishali, how does it look?
Yes, so I think, well, nothing much happening, but currently at a good support level. I would say 620 acts as a good support, and I would just observe a range of 620 to 680. Actual strength is visible only above 680. So I would say that it's a trade within the range. But I technically do like Canfin Homes, as Gaurang mentioned. Canfin Homes, I think hardly anything to miss. Even in a worse scenario, I think this stock, as per our level, 720 is a very good support. And once this stock moves past 780, 800 levels, I think this could go towards 850, 900. So yes, Canfin is to my liking too.
Okay. Gaurang, before I ask you the next question, I think you wanted to add something on Paras Defense. What is it that you wanted to say?
No, I definitely surrender to what Vaishali is saying. There are, very strong names in terms of defense plays, and those names are not only restricted to the public sector names. Private sector, I think Paras Defense and Cyient, DLM, these are, which is into the drone technology, if I'm not mistaken, and some of the other names which have come up. They are some very strong plays. So don't restrict your names. Don't restrict yourself to these Panch Pandavs. You can possibly have an extended list also. And an honest disclosure and a commitment from my side is that I am going to invest in the defense sectorial theme fund that HDFC has mentioned and my good friend Shail has referred to. I'm waiting for my salary, and my first investment will be in that, and I'll make a lump sum investment, and possibly every month, Shell, I commit myself that because we have restriction shares, that in terms of compliance and all that, we cannot invest directly into stock
Yes.
market. So mutual fund, SIP or lump sum is the best way that I can play my investments. So Shell, that's the promise from my side.
So I just want to ask, is it even now a good,
Thank you,
a good
Gaurang.
time
And
to get in? Is it still a good time to get in? Are we not too late for defense?
Is that the question for me, Vaishali?
I'm asking all of you because even I would be interested then.
Okay, so let me give a blanket disclosure. Vaishali, defense is never late. Okay, and defense is, like I was mentioning before you came into the show with Shell, it's the play for next 3 to 5 years or even more. So,
Okay.
never say that you missed the bus. The next bus is definitely coming, and jump onto that.
Okay, thanks.
Vaishali,
let
you
me-
should
let me
definitely
just
go
give you a
back and
background
check
on this one, ladies and
Gaurang's
gentlemen.
last 4 interviews that we have had with him with respect to defense, especially which started off with Cochin Shipyard. And every time he comes up with a new, more conviction focused, phrase when it comes to defense. I think the government of India will surely make Gaurang, the mascot of their defense projects going forward from here. So that I'm sure is going to happen for you, Gaurang, going forward from here. Today is the 4th phrase that I've got, Shell, from Gaurang, that defense is never late. I'm going to be remembering that after a screaming buy. The next time he said, don't waste any time. The 3rd time he said, those having the wisdom can still go and buy defense, and the last one that he has mentioned today is defense is never late. Let's see what next comes on defense when we have Gaurang next on our show. Shell, yours.
So, okay, 2 important things here to mention, Sakshi. One, we'll recommend Gaurang for Paramveer Chakra as far as suggesting defense stocks are concerned. Let's see whether that works or not. Paramveer Chakra, in the investing world of stock markets, it takes great courage to come and say it's a screaming buy at a time when the stock has gone up 70-80%, and to consistently hold that view. So point number 1. 2, Sakshi, have you noticed that we have asked friends and analysts such as Gaurang and Vaishali questions on where to invest? Here they are taking our view on India, on HDFC Defence Fund. So that's another point to mention. And Gaurang, my sincere apologies to burst this bubble. In HDFC Fund, Defence Fund, you're not allowed to make a lump sum. It's a SIP. The value of the SIP is also limited. Because of the rally that we've seen in defense stocks, they are limiting the entry via a SIP only, and the level of the SIP is also capped. That's a fairly sensible thing to do. But all points taken, and yes, this is a long-term rally. Our world is getting more and more volatile, which is sad, but we'll have to understand the practicalities of life. And markets are, how should I say, completely unemotional. They see money, and that's where the money flow is. So defense, HDFC defense funds, ladies and gentlemen. Sakshi, I think we'll analyze that on our 2:30 show today. That will help a whole host of other viewers as well. So that's how it is at 9:40. We are 290 points down on Nifty Bank. Its monthly expiry day 48,858. Selling pressure was there early morning, but a bit of short covering has helped improve sentiment on Dalal Street. Across the board within the PSU pack, we see a good green shade. Sakshi, I think it's my tie that's worked today. I've been wearing a green one. Gaurang, what color tie are you wearing?
So this is a black, grey and white shell. It does not resemble the red and the green and the
Okay, okay.
And I'm wearing the red, so I'm attracting the bulls.
So we are striking a balance.
तो अभी सब हो गया, green भी हो गया, red भी हो गया. Yeah. Okay. So we have to sort of keep ourselves occupied on a day when this is the level of volatility. I think the Nifty is going to retest 22,800. But truly, this early morning short covering is because of our panel. Defense clicks because Gaurang is on the offense. He's headed to parts of Maharashtra. You mentioned Satara. The other city was?
Satara and Karad.
Okay.
Shell.
The other one has that the Navy unit Karad, right?
That's right.
Satara, I know.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay, let's see what Satara is famous for. 1 second. Okay, so there is a World Natural Heritage Site there. There are two palaces within the city, Juna Rajwada and Nava Rajwada, the old and the new palace. So I am sure Gaurang will go there. And Kothambir Vadi, that's the most favorite food in Satara. Gaurang, the kind of help that you get on business today is phenomenal, you know. We help with everything. Good quality stocks, good quality funds, good quality technical picks, and of course a whole host of enjoyment on the show. Sakshi is still 77 points lower on the Nifty. Now it's sideways. We still have to run it past 3:30 p.m. Yours.
Absolutely. You know, Bharti Airtel caught my attention. It's moved to the top spot on the Nifty, 1.1% higher in trade. Vaishali, how do you see the stock moving?
Well, so this has been outperforming since quite some time in the telecom sector, and I think it should continue to do well because it is a very slow and a gradual mover. And I think there is still a lot of scope for higher targets.
Okay. Gaurang, I've discussed Bharti Airtel with you quite a lot. The one that I wanted to discuss, you may add if you have something else also to add now in the fresh moves. But ITC is another one that I wanted to discuss with you. CCI nod has been given for the demerger of the hotels as well. But there are several reports that are coming in that are advising shareholders to not give the nod for this. Could you help our viewers really understand why is this happening?
So, well, Sakshi, before I go there, in the cellular service provider business, other than Reliance Industries because of Jio and Bharti Airtel, I would also would request you all to join Bharti Hexacom IPO, which was about 2 months back at about 580, 575, and Bharti Hexacom is trading at around about 1050 or 1040 or thereabouts, the last that I saw. That is also a name which we can possibly look at. In terms of the ITC, well, if you remember, Sakshi, when the news flow came from the company's management to demerge the hotel business, it did not come in line with what the street had expected. It was a different approach depending upon the wisdom of the board of directors, and they implemented that and they announced that demerger. So basically the street is basically against the wisdom of the management, the way they want to demerge but I don't think that's going to have any material impact. Eventually it is likely to sail through. Since we are discussing the stock, I think prudent on my side to give a disclosure that we have a fundamental coverage on ITC.
(9:45), ladies and gentlemen, the first half hour has lapsed. And it's been a wonderful conversation. We've discussed all sorts of possibilities, how to invest in funds, what to look forward to in Satara, what's really interesting in the markets, and at the same time we've delved into a lot of technical picks at this point of time. Well, the mood is fairly okay. There was a downtick in the morning. We've had a very, very strong bout of short covering. Now, will that continue for the remaining 5.5 hours? It remains to be seen, but I have a decent green color around me and it feels good. What's buzzing? Well, again, it's the PSU pack. We are ahead of a very specific event. The markets are skittish, they are jittery, they are volatile, they are unhappy, they are sad, and they are also happy. That's what markets are all about. And within that space, let's look at two outperformers that have made very, very decent money for investors. They've made tremendous money for traders, and they are PFC and REC. Again, headed towards a record high is PFC, 523. led by a very strong earnings show, a decent dividend yield, and of course a great future ahead. Vaishali, coming to you first, what are the charts of PFC telling you?
Well, it has continued to show a lot of strength. So I would say that yes, one should continue holding because right now it's once again ready for a new price high. So I think 540. Continue holding with a trailing stop loss. Still, there is a lot of scope for upside.
Okay. Gaurang, would you step in on PFC? You mentioned the guardrails, I remember very clearly, which RBI had put to keep the sector in fine shape, and that had provided an opportunity for long-term investors to get back into the stock at about 470, 465. Now well up back again at record highs. PFC for you.
So I will give a generalized statement, Shell, and I still remember that day. And I had also mentioned that these kind of additional general provision of 5%, which the RBI had recommended, it was not implemented, it was recommended, and it was under discussion. And that 5% was to be implemented in 3 phases, would have put unnecessary detrimental spokes in the wheel for the development and growth in India. Because eventually the cost would have increased and that cost would have passed on to the last person in the chain, and that is the consumers like you and me. So it was not advisable, and I had mentioned that very clearly. I had also mentioned that PFC and REC would be least impacted in terms of this implementation in case if it had to go through. And I had said that these are strong companies and they remain strong companies in terms of opportunities that lie in front of them, and with the kind of new additional powers capacities that are going to come up. And Shell, these are the companies like IREDA, and they are not into power generation. They are basically into providing financial stability, strength, and support for new power generating capacities that are coming up. So, I mean, the business is strong, and the outlook in terms of growth opportunity is equally stronger. So, these companies will deliver phenomenal earnings visibility over the next 3 to 4 years.
Fair point. This is something that you need to keep in mind if you dip into PFC at current levels, that the recommendations made by RBI in terms of recognizing NPAs and sort of providing a deeper cushion in terms of contingencies did dampen sentiment. That's up for discussion. Whether it happens or not, only time will tell, but that's a sword that hangs over PFC, REC, and a host of other NBFCs which are in the power space. Vaishali, 949, anything that catches your fancy within the space?
Well, not really. I think market is again going sideways, so I won't be aggressive, but I maintain, have a look at BEL. Yes. Now BEL, it's time to look into BEL once again. And as I had mentioned, Paras, it's in great momentum. So yes, my focus is on this stock. I think I would go for an intraday purpose also on BEL. That looks quite promising. Yes.
Okay, let's look at BEL. This is of course an F&O play as well. I just want to see what is the level of open interest on this one, because rollovers will also start to work now. Let's look at the whole hog as far as this is concerned. So a 67% rollover in capital goods BEL stock, which is fairly okay. Open interest is up 4.3%, but that's immaterial because we are just headed into the monthly expiry, which is tomorrow. So if you're looking for it in futures, buy the next month futures, and cash of course is insensitive to what's happening. It's again likely to be a PSU day. A 2.2% uptick on Hindustan Aeronautics. BAL is 1.6% higher. Remember, they are super high beta stocks. Coal India is now 0.72% higher at 419.1. Let's look at the advanced decline in F&O. Not good at all. 63 futures in the green compared with 124 in the red. So it's 1:2 favoring bears. What else is moving? Ipca Labs. I think Ipca is a stock that will be reporting earnings today. Yes, it's something that we don't discuss much, but IPCA is something that you can look at. The top gaining stock in the pharma F&O space, 1.5% higher, decent uptick. Vaishali will do a chart check, because not only are we ahead of an event in terms of earnings, we are also in a very volatile market. IPCA for you, Vaishali, at 1340.
Yes, so IPCA also I think is coming out of the range. It is showing strength. I think with today's low also one can be a trader and look for a target of 1380.
Okay, that's a very quick, precise reply on IPCA. What else is moving? Let me just do some price mapping for you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at volume buzzers. These are stocks which in the first half an hour of trade have moved extensively on a strong volume show. Although volumes today will be fairly low, nevertheless, let's look at some good names. PNB Housing, we've marked, that's the block deal that's happened. 81.7 lakh shares have already been traded. There's also a decent uptick on footwear stock Campus. This is something that we don't discuss. 280 at 12.4% higher. That's a blowout. Very strong volumes. 1 crore shares have been traded, which is 15 times the 5-day average. What's also buzzing in strength is a capital goods company called Grindwell Norton. We don't discuss this often, but 7.46% higher. I wonder why. Let me just check what this thing is. Meantime, Vaishali, could you look at Grindwell's chart and see what's buzzing there?
So I would say yes. In fact, it's showing a lot of strength and it's ready for in fact, it has given a breakout even on the weekly chart. So I would say yes. I mean, showing a lot of strength. But I would not be a buyer at this level because already a run up of 7%. If one gets a dip, I think it's ready for 2800 target.
Okay, ready for 2800 as far as Grindwell Norton is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll wrap it up here. Vaishali, thank you so much for such wonderful tips and your promise to invest into HDFC Defence Fund. We'll be doing a very nice wrap up on that fund today afternoon in the 2:30 show. Do watch it. It's something to looking forward to. With that, ladies and gentlemen, the early morning coverage on this wonderfully volatile day, the monthly expiry for Nifty and T-1 for Bank Nifty draws to a close. We leave you with a 100-point downtick on the Nifty, 22,791, and a 310-point downtick on Nifty Bank, 48,885. There's a buzz around PSU stocks, in particular defense stocks, and they're doing pretty well. Some of them are in green. Do stay tuned into Business Today. The best that there is in financial news is on this channel. Thank you for watching. On behalf of our team and Sakshi and me, have a good day.
Now there are two schemes for women voters that's got people talking. One of them is Drone Didi, which the Prime Minister spoke of in great detail at the India Today conclave.